Hello everybody and welcome to my class review of the Protection Paladin. So this is the first class review I have ever done, and I'm wording it class review because I'm not saying what's the best tank, because Paladin is. I'm not saying what's the best tank in going into BFA, because it's Paladin. So what we're going to do is just going to break this down. I will be doing some more class reviews another time. I'm going to try and get a couple up a week. And it's just going to be kind of my take on the class and stuff like that. It's not going to be a this class is best, because that's not what I'm about. I'm not here to tell you which is the best to play, because it's the Paladin. Okay, so first off, I just want to touch over the mastery. Now, as you all know, in BFA, tanks are struggling with magic damage reduction. We've got physical damage reduction coming out of our eyeballs, but magic damage reduction is something that's we're kind of struggling with at the moment. I think there's a few classes, especially, which I will not mention, are potentially good tanks, but very, very weak because of their magic, their vulnerability to magic. And potentially with certain boss encounters, I can see them really struggling to get into a group, which is really sad. Because other than that, they're great. But we will touch on them when we come to them. So why am I talking about magic damage? Let's have a look. So Paladin's Mastery, one very, very key word here to bear in mind. So we've got reduces all damage taken while inside your consecration by a certain %, and increases your chance to block melee attacks by 8%. Also increases your attack power by a certain % as well. Now I know I said 8% there because that's the example I'm reading, but the reduces all damage taken. So that's magic damage as well. Now that's quite strong. That is pretty strong. It's magic damage reduction, which is what we need, and that is pretty hot. So obviously we've got our cooldowns as well. We have got so much at our disposal here. I keep saying we and our, and I shouldn't be, because I'm trying to stay completely biased on this, completely non-biased on this on this video. But yes, as you can imagine, I currently do main a Paladin tank, so it's very difficult when I'm watching my own footage and talking about Paladin tanks not to say me. So if I do apologize. I've been trying to edit this video for about 4 days, so I would just smash through this, and if I do fuck up, we'll have to deal with it, because that is what every video is going to be like. It's going to be a shit show. So if we can just move on very swiftly. So yes, there's the things there with regards to the mastery. So we've got all damage taken is reduced while standing in your consecration. Now people might not like the consecration side of things. You know, you've got to be inside that consecration in order for that to take effect. But it's actually relatively easy to stay inside your consecration. I mean, I've never, going through these dungeons anyway, I never really found an issue, because consecration comes off of cooldown really quickly. So if we have a look at consecration here at the moment, it's the base example that I'm looking at here with regards to the spell is it's a 4.5 second cooldown, lasts for 12 seconds. So even like worst case scenario, you've just put your consecration down and they've fucked off halfway across the map, because some hunters started just going to town on them, and with the new aggro changes, you've not had chance to fully gain aggro. It's going to be a hunter. It's always going to be a hunter. So you've got to then go and get them all back, and you know the team's dying. They're like, oh fuck tank, what the shit, like get everyone together. Oh, well, sorry, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have just fucking attacked everyone before they'd even got into place. But we're not going to go there. I'm not bitter. I'm absolutely fine with people just pulling ahead of the tanks in dungeons. It's perfectly acceptable. So consecration, yeah, it's got a much shorter cooldown, so we can be using it quite frequently. You're going to be looking to stack haste anyway, but we'll get to that later on. So which means it's going to be coming off a cooldown faster. It's not a problem. You should always be in your consecration. You shouldn't really ever have a problem with that. So you can even kind of drag it out a little bit. So if you're waiting for it to come off a cooldown, You just stand in your consecration. Just stand there. Don't leave. Because you're getting that passive damage reduction anyway. So yeah, it's good. It's good. Anyway, I like the new mastery. I know some of you might not, but that's what I think anyway. I quite like it. So the next one is another change is Light of the Protector. That heals for a set amount. It does heal up to 200% based on your missing health as well, and its cooldown has been increased to 17 seconds, which is, yeah, it's you know, an increased cooldown does kind of suck, but I don't really see that as much of an issue. It's not really too difficult to work around. I mean, it's 17 seconds. You've got Flash of Light as well if shit gets desperate. You've also got Lay on Hands if shit gets really desperate. So it's not really a problem. Main thing to bear in mind, which actually makes I think Light of the Protector stronger, is it can now crit. And going through the spellbook when I first did, I saw the word crit being mentioned quite a lot with prop paladins, and it kind of made me think, are we going to start stacking crit as prop paladins? But no, we'll get to that later on. It's just a nice little bonus to our crit rating. So yes, like the Protector can crit, which is great. I've had it crit when I have been edging on no health, and it's basically been a lay on hands. It's brought me pretty much straight the way back up again. So really strong. It is really strong, especially when you get that crit. So moving on to Consecration, obviously I did mention earlier that Consecration has had its cooldown reduced. It's only 4.5 seconds now, and it lasts for 12 seconds. And that's base, so it will be less than that. You'll be able to get off a cooldown even faster. So it's, yeah, it is, again, love the change, really good. I never felt like those kind of old shit moments where you need to get your Consecration down, and you've just pulled the next pack, and you know you're over geared for a dungeon, so you're just running from pack to pack to pack, and then you get to one, it's like you're spamming your Consecration button, and it's not going down. You're looking at it, and there's still like 4 seconds on the cooldown. Nightmare, a nightmare. So, but I never had that. It was always ready to go, and I loved that. So that's pretty much the main change there with Consecration. So moving on to Avenger's Shield. So let's have a look here. So Avenger's Shield will increase the damage done and armor gained from your next Shield of the Righteous by 20%. So the change there was obviously in Legion you had to be stood in your Consecration in order for that kind of additional armor gain there. So in Legion it was damage reduction, which was just ridiculously strong, especially if you combined it with Seraphim. I remember getting Shield of the Righteous proc that reduced all damage taken by 83%, which was kind of dumb. Yeah, that was kind of ridiculous. So that's stronger than our biggest cooldown of Guardian of the Ancient Kings. I mean, that reduces all damage taken by 50%, and my Shield of the Righteous was doing like in the 80s. So really, that was really strong. Now, obviously, it is just an armor gain. We will go over that when we get to Shield of the Righteous. But Avenger's Shield, yeah, it increases the amount of armor gain you get, and also increases the damage done of Shield of the Righteous. So Shield of the Righteous has gone over some massive changes, and they are really good. So don't get me wrong, I know I've said everything so far, oh, it's really good, I love this, I like the change, all that kind of stuff. If I don't like something, I will say, especially if it's the Paladin, because, again, they're not the best class to play, but they definitely are. And I will say if I don't like something, but so far everything's great. So Shield of the Righteous made me squee when I first read the tooltip and tried it out. Actually, I think I tried it out first, and then I saw that more than one person took damage, and I just kind of, the realization, it was just like, oh my god, yes! And so it's an AoE now. It's a frontal cone, which is just great. It's just fantastic. I love it. So it's yeah, it does frontal cone damage in front of you, which is awesome. It's also been changed from a flat damage reduction to increasing armor, which is obviously what I went over earlier, it does kind of suck, but it's, again, that's one thing that I don't like, but I do understand why they've done it. It's, the flat-out damage reduction was just too strong. Especially referring back to, especially referring back to earlier when I was saying I was getting a ridiculous number of damage reductions. I can see why they've done it. That's perfectly cool. I get it. It's, but it does still suck. So that's that change. So the armor that you gain from Shield of the Righteous, now that's increased by strength. So, and we all know in BFA, item level is king. So the secondary stats aren't as big anymore. You're not going to be getting a shit ton of mastery and haste and stuff like that on the gear. You will be getting a load of base stats though. So strength, intellect, stamina, stuff like that. That's going to shoot up. So with that in mind, as it goes on, as the expansion goes on and we're stacking more and more strength, we're going to be reducing more and more damage, physical damage taken from the armor gain of Shield of the Righteous. So that's a really good one. But yeah, magic damage, we're still taking a hit. Hopefully if we can get that mastery up and standing in our consecration, we should be okay. And make sure that we cycle through our cooldowns. With regards to cooldowns, I'm not going to go over it in detail, but the global cooldowns, I know. Okay, global cooldowns. I need to mention it. I'm not going to go into it fully, though. I did encounter a couple of moments when, especially with Light of the Protector, fuck, I encountered that a lot. So, in the middle of casting a couple of spells, I get hit with something, or the healer's not paying attention, or the healer has run out of mana because some idiot has been standing in a... Some hunter has been stood in some AoE, just auto-shot. And I do like hunters, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I've sounded quite abusive to them today, haven't I? So, yeah, so they've had to heal someone else, and then I've been hit with something, and I've had to light the Protector, and I've gone to do it, and it's been on the GCD. That's been painful, but it's just learning to adapt, I guess. I mean, look at the positives. We'll get the hang of it. It does feel a bit slower because of it, but you know, we'll make it work. But with regards to the spells on the global cooldown, Hand of the Protector, obviously, Avenging Wrath is on there, and Seraphim is on there as well. So keep that in mind when you're kind of planning what's happening. If you just keep an eye on what a boss is going to do next, you might better work around it. It should be okay. So one final thing to cover with regards to the changes is Avenging Wrath. So it has been reduced. The effectiveness has been reduced. So originally it was increasing your damage and healing by 35%, I believe. That's how much I know. But it is down to 20%. So bit of a hit. Has taken a bit of a hit, but it's not, you don't need to be doing that much damage as a tank. Yes, it helps you keep aggro, and the healing of course helps as well when it comes to Hand of Protector, or if you'd have to lay on hands, sorry, not lay on hands, Flash of Light, anything like that. So yeah, that healing increase does help as well, but not really essential. For me, I've always seen Avenging Wrath as just a way of trying to help burst down packs and stuff like that. I've never really seen it as something that's been essential to my gameplay. I could easily go through an entire instance without having to use it, or a raid without having to use it. The only times I would use it in raids would be to help with the healing from Hand of the Protector. So that's pretty much it. But one thing to bear in mind, because it has taken that hit, now it does also increase your critical strike chance by 20%. Which is fun. It is so much fun. So, yeah, if you're going to be throwing those heals out, there's a chance you'll get a crit on your Hand of the Protector, because it does crit now, as mentioned earlier. And also, you just do a lot of damage. Like a lot of damage, and it's so much fun. So, yeah, that's good. Now, this is what I mean. Like, I was kind of... when I was going through the spellbook and I was seeing the word crit mentioned a few times, I was starting to think, do we stack crit as a tank? But no, we don't. Avenging Wrath there will give you 20% crit straight off the bat, so that's great. So going over the talents now, let's have a look at the talents. That's pretty much everything with regards to spell changes. Some pretty big changes there, some not so big, but everything you kind of need to take into consideration if you are. I'd say if you've been playing Paladin a while in Legion, that's the things that you kind of need to know have changed. If you're new to Paladin, you'll find this helpful as well, because it's just letting you know this is kind of what these spells do. So having a look at the talents. So on the first line here, we've got Holy Shield. Now, Holy Shield, your block chance is increased by 15%, and you're able to block spells, and your successful blocks deal holy damage to your attacker. Then we've got Redoubt. So I'm pretty sure I said that right. Avenger's Shield bounces to one additional target and increases your block chance by 75% for 8 seconds. So pretty good. Blessed Hammer. So we know what Blessed Hammer is. That was in the last one. That was one that made the sexy hammer fly around you. That was fun. It also reduces the damage you take from the next auto attack by 12%. Now, I was never really a fan of this, some of my viewers will tell you that I wasn't a fan of it, because we have had multiple arguments about it. Because for me, it reduces the damage they take from the next auto attack by 12% once. That's the next attack, and then it's gone. Now, granted, the hammer does fly back around and it can apply it again, but I believe it only flies around 3 times, and it does spread out as well. So if it doesn't hit them next time round, or you have to move them, you're not getting that effect. You're not getting that reduction. So yeah, people can argue just stay there so it does hit them again, or cast another one. You might not always have one available, and you might not always be able to stand still. So I never really liked Blessed Hammer, but I did rock it because it was kind of the most effective out of the other two. Now it's got to be Holy Shield. So the reason I've kind of gone with Holy Shield is because it increases your block chance by 15%. Now that is just a passive increase to your block chance by 15%, whereas Redoubt is you have to cast Avenging Shield, sorry, to get that effect. You might not have it, you know. You might not be getting the Grand Crusader proc or anything. Is it the Grand Crusader proc, the one that resets the cooldown of Avenging Shield? We've got something that does that anyway. Something happens, and the 2 little sexy shields come up, and you can hit it again. It's all fun, but yeah. So you have to kind of rely on that to be up. So yeah, a flat out 15% increase to your block chance. Now the main thing here is you can block spells. You're able to block spells with this one, and we know. I mentioned earlier how difficult tanks are finding magic damage reduction at the moment. So if you can block spells, that's massive. So you should always be going for that. Well, I mean, I'm going to be always going for that one. It's up to you guys. So the next row, we've got First Avenger. So Avenging Shield now hits 50%. Sorry, Avenger's Shield now does 50% increased damage to the first target hit. Grand Crusader now has an additional 10% chance to occur. So yeah, it was Grand Crusader. So that's the one that resets the cooldown. So that's pretty good. Judgment now has 2 charges. So this is Crusader's Judgment. This is the next one. So Judgment now has 2 charges, and Grand Crusader now also grants a charge of Judgment. That's nice. Bastion of Light. So this immediately gives you 3 charges of Shield of the Righteous. Now, personally, I thought this was a bit bollocks, so I didn't go for it. It was I mean, it's a 2-minute cooldown. Depending on your haste and whether you're getting crits or anything with your Judgment, you're going to be getting Shield of the Righteous back pretty quick anyway, so you don't really need that. And you can only hold 3 charges. So let's say, I mean, personally, I was struggling to ever be on 0 charges of Shield of the Righteous. So if I've got 1 and I use that Bastion of Light to get 3 charges, I don't get 4. I still only get 3, so it's not. Yeah, I didn't see that as any good. Now, I went with Crusader's Judgment because every time you use a Judgment, you reduce the cooldown on your Shield of the Righteous by 2 seconds. If it crits, it's 4 seconds. So again, if you've got Avenging Wrath up and you've got that 20% increase to your crit, and you're throwing Judgments out, you're getting Shield of the Righteous back faster as well. So it's it all kind of ties in together. It all works really well. So yeah, that's what I went with there anyway. So the next row is kind of, you do whatever the fuck you want on this row, guys. It's if you want a fist, a good old fist of justice, repentance or blinding light. Now I don't tend to go for blinding light because the if a non-holy damaging attack hits them, they get broken out of it. So in a group, there's going to be a hunter that throws a multi-shot in there, or you know, again, I don't not like hunters. I love hunters. I just you know, I like hunters. I do, especially them and their 3 buttons. They're amazing. So let's go on. No, I do. I'm joking. Right. So I went here. Fist of Justice. So Judgment reduces the remaining cooldown on Hammer of Justice by 6 seconds as well. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So it means you're getting Fist of basically Fist of Justice off the cooldown a lot faster, which means you get more stuns out. If something is stunned, it's not going to be attacking you. So that's awesome. Next row, Retribution Aura can go to hell. That's disgusting. It's terrible. Don't ever choose this one. This is the only talent in which I will tell you pretty much do not choose. It's useless. It's Retribution Aura. It's basically when people attack you or anyone in your party, they get they get damage back to them. It's not a great deal of damage, and it's just pretty weak all around. So Cavalier, Divine Steed now has 2 charges. That's pretty standard. And then Blessing of Spell Warding blesses a party or raid member, granting immunity to magic damage and harmful effects for 10 seconds. So in a raid, yes, go for this one, because if you're off tank or whatever, if somebody's been chosen at random for a really sexy magical attack, just throw that on them and completely bypass it. So yeah, you can help out your off tank there. Now maybe if you were to have 2 prop paladins up front and they cycled between the 2 casting that spell, that would be pretty nice. Now I'm not saying you should take paladins and only paladins, but you definitely should. No, next up, Cavalier. So let's just mention Cavalier. Now I went with this one in dungeons. In instances, I will go for Blessing of the Spell Warding in raids. So next one, Unbreakable Spirit. So this just reduces the cooldown of Divine Shield, Ardent Defender, and Lay on Hands by 30%. Now you don't really use Divine Shield anyway because you lose all aggro, unless again it's an off-tank situation where you're about to take a hit and the main tank has aggro anyway. Then fair enough, you can use it. Maybe clear debuffs and stuff. So Ardent Defender, yep, that's a good one, and Lay on Hands, great as well. So that's a good choice. Now Final Stand, when you use Divine Shield, you also taunt all targets within 15 yards for 8 seconds. It's kind of wank, don't use it, but it's up to you. Hand of the Protector. So Hand of the Protector basically just means that you can cast Light of the Protector on any party or raid member. Again, I'm struggling to get it cycled through the global cooldown business, so don't really I didn't go for that. I went with Unbreakable Spirit reluctantly. So on tier 90 you could kind of choose whatever you want, whatever tickles your fancy. So Judgment now causes so this is Judgment of Light. So Judgment obviously causes the next 25 successful attacks against the target to heal the attacker. So that's nice in a raid. In a big raid, you're going to be doing a lot of passive healing there. So maybe those. And now if you combine that with your Judgment, your Crusader's Judgment, you're going to be able to throw 2 Judgments out. So if we've got a pack of ads, or if we've got 2 bosses, put 1 on each one, and you're going to be getting a lot of healing done. So that's pretty good. Now this is the one that I went with, Consecrated Ground. So your consecration is 15% larger. Amazing, because we always need to be inside that. And enemies within it have 50% reduced movement speed. Now that's great, and plus it's kind of hot in PvP as well. But this is not necessarily a PvP guide. I may play around with them at a later date. So do excuse the footage at the moment as well. We got feared a few times and pulled a little bit too much, and these fuckers were a nightmare to kill. I remember thinking, I'm fucking recording this for the video, and this bollocks has gone up. So next up, Aegis of Light. So channels an Aegis of Light that protects you and all enemies standing 10 yards behind you by 6 seconds, reduces all damage taken by 20%. So I didn't go for that. 20% didn't seem like a lot to me, but I guess it can be the difference maker. But it also relies on everyone to be behind you. Now, you're never really going to have the boss facing, or the group, a group of mobs facing the party in case there's any sweeping attacks or frontal cones, anything like that. You're going to be facing them away at all times. So they're never really going to be stood behind me. I'm going to be stood facing them with the boss in the middle. So I didn't go for it. I guess it can be situational. Again, if your off tank currently has aggro on the boss, you can stand in front of the raid team and do that and reduce all damage taken for a bit. So yeah, it can be good. Consecrated Ground for me was just the strongest one there. I had to go for that. Again, that will change whether you're in a raid, Mythic Plus, stuff like that. So final row. We've got Last Defender. So enemies, each enemy within 8 yards reduces all damage that you take and increase the damage that you deal by 3%. Now, again, big thing here, reduces the damage that you take. So that is magical as well. That's not just a physical damage reduction. That's all damage we take. So that's massive. If we're putting a big group, every enemy in there will decrease the damage we take by 3%. That will stack up for each enemy. So that's really strong. So I didn't go for that originally, but I have gone for it now. I went because it's really, really pretty. I went for Seraphim because it's just pretty. And those secondary stats are really hard to come by. So I thought, let's do that. Now, I'm not going to do it anymore because Shield of the Righteous is so important to have, to use at the correct moments. And I can't use 2 charges. I can't justify using 2 charges to get the maximum amount of Seraphim duration there. So I'm no longer really going for Seraphim. And then the other one was Righteous Protector. So Shield of the Righteous reduces the remaining cooldown on Light of the Protector and Avenger and Wrath by 3 seconds. So if you're going to go with Crusader's Judgment, which is giving you 2 charges of Judgment, if they're critting or you know, you're just hitting them, it's going to reduce the cooldown of Shield of the Righteous. Shield of the Righteous is then going to reduce the cooldown of Light of the Protector and Avenging Wrath. So that kind of ties in. That does work really well, especially if you have gone with Crusader's Judgment. So it's viable. So that's everything really on the talents. Let's just quickly go over the so I understand this has been quite a long video so far. I will try and get these down to about 10-minute explanations, 10-minute reviews, but this is my first one and it's a Paladin one, so I loves it. So if we go to stat priority, so it's gonna be haste first, then mastery, then versatility, and then crit. So haste, obviously, that's going to bring everything off the cooldown faster. Now, it does also reduce your global cooldown. So that's massive. I know how much we'll love that. And there is no haste cap. So just go to town on it. Do what you got to do. Get real weird with it. And then mastery, obviously, because it's just fucking amazing. So you want to stack that. It does outperform versatility. And I'll just go over that quickly now. So versatility now, per point of versatility, you do get more damage reduction. And obviously that is active outside of standing in consecration. So why is mastery still stronger? Because of the block chance. Because of the block chance. It's increasing your block chance. And you've also got the, if you've gone with, was it Holy Shield? You're getting that, chance to block spells as well. So it's pretty strong with regards to you know, blocking spells and your overall block chance, your damage reduction, and then obviously the increase to your attack power as well. So mastery all round is massive. Versatility is still amazing. I would still go for it, obviously, because it's also going to increase your healing done and your damage done. So yeah, it's still great. Crit, you don't really need it. You don't really need it at all. Yeah, I mean, it's there if we want it. So obviously another thing to bear in mind would be the strength. That increases the armor gain of Shield of the Righteous, as well as your attack power. So yeah, don't forget that as well. You're not going to be able to forget it because it's going to be bloody everywhere. It's going to be coming out your fucking eyeballs. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you kind of enjoyed this video. It's my very first class review video. I will be And it's also my very first time using Premiere Pro. I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing the narration part at the moment, watching the footage and hoping to shit this is all okay. I do understand with the amount of swearing in the video, none of you will probably see this because YouTube are just fantastic like that. So, but yeah, anyway, I hope that this has been informative for you. That's a big word, isn't it? Oh, nice. If you guys want to see more of this, you know what to do. You know what to do. I'll try and get 3 class videos, class reviews done a week. So drop a subscribe. Do all the weird stuff that you have to do now to get notifications when a video goes up. Whatever it is. And also, I am live streaming on Twitch pretty much 7 days a week. So you can find that twitch.tv/Vampyreal. Pop over there. And we do like to do things with the community. So when I say do things with the community, I mean we like to go to Goldshire, get really, really weird, like really stuff that you won't unsee for a long time, and that's the best kind of stuff. That is the best kind of stuff. Make sure you bring some Coltirian bananas with you, and then we'll see what happens. No. So we do have a community in Warcraft. We do have a guild in Warcraft, and in BFA we are looking to boost some of our viewers and some of the community and stuff like that. Because that's just how we roll. We just want to help you guys out. So if you want to get involved, you know where to find us. So ladies, gentlemen, and everyone not sitting on a cushion, take care, stay safe, stay sexy, and don't aggro.